I'm betting that report will get dressed up real pretty.
Welcome, everyone, to the latest episode of The Testing Room, where three of the gaming industry's best video game consultants who have never actually consulted on a video game bring you new topics each and every week. As always, I'm Alex, a.k.a. The Gosfather.
I'm Christian, a.k.a. Pseudo45.
I'm Preston, a.k.a. Mouse Dad.
Ugh.
Mouse Daddy.
Yeah, Mouse Daddy.
Canceled. Unsubscribed.
Oh, that's hilarious. Look, man, I truly think if the mouse keeps waking you up at night, it's just yours now. Just make him a pet. I don't see the problem there.
That's not going to stop the noise from being made. Unfortunately, there's going to have to be a situation to where Preston's going to go crazy because he's not getting the proper amount of sleep, and he'll end up buying lethal traps. Unfortunately, trying not to, but
You seem to buy a flat trap. Like I'm just.
I know I'll be trying a couple more non-lethal traps before I move on. But yeah,
The
What's a flat trap?
ones that don't require them to go up
a ramp. This one has like you have a section like there's like a container for the mouse that has a little bit of food in the corner, and the other a little hallway, and that has a ramp. They're supposed to push down the ramp when they go through it, which that's what they're not doing, and that's supposed to put up a flap on the other side that keeps them from escaping. None of that's working. He's got cheese and peanut butter in there, and the fucker doesn't want cheese and peanut butter. I don't know what the fuck he wants.
He wants apple cores. You need to put an apple core.
I know.
In there.
I put an apple core in a Ziploc bag, so I'm like, I don't want that thing just having its fumes everywhere for the mouse to smell. Put it up on my kitchen counter next to the refrigerator. Apparently knows how to get up the refrigerator and comes up to that counter and shoot through that in the middle of my day. I'm like, I thought, you're supposed to only be here at night, but I guess I'm wrong with that one. They're not just nocturnal. They will be nocturnal. They sleep when they sleep.
Mice are not nocturnal.
They sleep when they sleep, apparently.
They used to have a short sleep cycle.
I think they're diurnal, right? So they can come out in both times. But I think the big thing is, like, I come out when I don't hear noise or sense vibration, right? So, like, he's just coming out when you're not out and about.
I'm very well aware, because me hanging out until about midnight, he's not doing a damn thing. And then all of a sudden, all my lights go off, and I hear... You didn't hear it, but it's recorded on the podcast. But yeah, he just makes little chewing noises, and I got to go find out what the fuck he's chewing on. Like... a roach bait trap, which we don't need to go into that either, but this fucking place.
So anyway, you just moved in, right?
Yep. To be fair, it's month to month, so like I told Christian, as soon as that rental move hit that I took financially, once that's cleared, I have free game to just keep an eye open for whatever the fuck I want. And it's month to month, so I don't have to move out at a specific time. I can just choose to find out when I find the place that I want.
You don't owe them anything.
I don't feel like I owe them anything, so they can get fucked.
As they should. All right. So anyway, let's talk about our weeks.
You want to go into comment corner?
I can go.
Comment
corner though.
No, wait, comment corner.
To be fair,
Which is funny
did say
you
I
even
couldn't
said,
remember.
like, let me get the question. You said, like, let me get the question, so I should have known. I've been really good recently.
You
That's
have.
the first one I've forgotten in, like,
Yeah.
weeks. Yeah,
That's all right.
All right.
So it won't take too long.
Let's do it.
So Summer Games Done Quick is happening. Feel free to check them out on Twitch. A lot of fun to be had. It's all a Baltro run, which was very interesting.
It was cool.
Yeah, it was supposed to be, you had to do 3 decks.
That was an incentive, too.
Yeah, it was like 3 decks you had to go through. Random, random seed, and no skips. So there was a couple of rounds that he had to go through, and he did not win. So, but he did end up getting, I think their estimated time was like 35. I think he ended up doing 45, just because he was getting shit rolls on some of those jokers. But yeah, it's been great. It's a lot of fun. If you ever want to check it out, if you haven't heard of it, that is Summer Games Done Quick. They do one for winter, and they do a lot of little small stuff in between as well. But yeah, they do a charity event, which you get a bunch of people to hang out. They donate for different type of bonus games that they'll play that day. But it all goes towards, I think Doctors Without Borders is what they're doing right now.
It's usually Summer Games Fest is almost always Doctors Without Borders, and then Winter Games
Cancer
is Cancer Research.
Yeah, Cancer Research. Yeah. So
they're up to 352,000 right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're currently doing a Quake 2 run. Not that this matters when you hear this, but that's what's going on.
No, but you can always go back. They have a YouTube you can go to kind of watch
Yep.
all their old ones. If when you're done watching all the videos on our channel, feel free to go over there and check out some
They
of
have
those.
weekly shows too. Yeah.
Yeah, they do have weekly shows as well. But yeah, I didn't have a whole lot. There's not anything really popping off in the news, and we didn't have any comments on YouTube. So I was going to ask you guys, if you were to speedrun a game, what game do you think you would like to speedrun? Do you think you have a
Jack
skill?
and Daxter.
Okay, all right.
I thought about this, so I'll tell you. I thought about
we
this.
like to watch this, so like we have been probably thinking about games we would do before.
Yeah,
so.
I actually think, in general, if I did not have if there wasn't new games always coming out that I always want to play and get into and check out, I know for a fact that I would absolutely get into speedrunning. I would miss releases on games constantly, and I would just be like, I'm going to focus on speed. Shadow of the Colossus is another one I would love to do. Yeah, Jagged Daxter. I'd love to do a JRPG. I saw one year, this was a few years ago now, but somebody did an FF9 speedrun that I thought was fucking crazy.
Some skips in.
Yeah, I would absolutely. There's a ton of games. I would love to get into that. It's just, unfortunately, you literally have to choose. Do you play other games or do you speedrun? That's.
You can speedrun a couple games, but the Metro Fusion guy is he speedruns that, and he speedruns a Scooby-Doo game. So it's that's the two games he plays for the most part.
Yeah, and I bet you he does spend other time playing other games, but
sure.
Dedicated when he's
time
working on a run,
that,
I'm dedicating time to play Super Metroid.
There's a Twitch
that's
stream
what I'm doing.
for it, yeah.
Yep.
So
yeah.
I would do a different I would do one of two games. I would do Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, or I would do one of the Dark Souls games. The Legend of Zelda one, because I watched that speed run many years in a row, because I always do it, and nothing is crazy.
They usually have a Zelda block.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and nothing is crazy. One of them last year was you had to be pixel perfect on this backflip that you do to get over.
Like that,
but I watched them do the speed run and go, with practice, I could do all of this.
Yeah.
Where I would say I would do it I would do it differently than Christian is I wouldn't want to set a world record. That would not be my thing. I would get into it to say, cool, can I do it in 5 minutes? Can I do it in 20 minutes? That's it, right? I'm not gonna dedicate all of my time to be
trying to get a
fast. Yeah, I would just do it can I
wouldn't
do
say
something
world record, but I would want to be on it. I would
get
want
you
to
into the top 10 or something like that of being placed. Okay,
I
got the skill enough to be
that.
good. I just don't care enough to be the best, because that would require all attention.
I respect that. That would be mine. Mine would be I just think it'd be fun to be able to do this in 10 minutes or something, a fun little party trick sort of thing. The reason I say, or I would do a Dark Souls game, is because, and same with the Zelda one, I appreciate speed runs where I can fully watch and understand what's going on. Meaning, those are shortcuts in those games. They, take weird jumps off that drop them into other maps, or, do rolls and stuff. But it's not like some games where it's, pause, quick exit the game, then you load up another save file, and then you, close that while it's trying to do, right? I don't like
the Soul skips do have a lot of... You can't load up another save file, but they do have a lot of get someplace, jump, pause on a specific frame, exit out of the game, reload... come back in, and now the game has despawned you and put you somewhere else.
Go through a checkpoint,
some
get through a
definitely,
wall.
I say some do have more than others on that, which, to be fair, I mean, I think those games would just be fun to break because they're so punishing.
Oh yeah.
That would be the fun on that
the
one.
ultimate break,
you punish me, I want to break it back. But those are the speedruns I like, and Zelda is that way. Zelda didn't require any loading or anything crazy. It was mostly backflips to get out of the map or rolls and this other stuff, and I just like ones that are like that. I appreciate the others, and I think it's crazy the stuff people have done in those games to break the game to speedrun, but I enjoy the ones that don't require a lot of file breaking, if you will.
Sure, yeah. Mm-hmm. No. I've always enjoyed the Star Fox 64 ones because they seem pretty doable. Because you're going to be on rails, it's more or less of how do you defeat an enemy faster? There's the kind of UFO, it kind of Independence Day level for that Star Fox 64 run. to where there's like this big UFO kind of hovering. You want to get it when it hits the pyramid and exposes like its certain weak points, but those weak points are still in the model of the ship before it opens up. So if you like are able to crash into it a little bit and like throw a bomb at that specific point, you can hit those weak points before it even gets to a certain section. So I think that would be fun. That'd be a little bit more easier as far as like one that I could probably become a speedrunner for. I'd feel more confident in doing so. Ones that I wouldn't do very well with, but I love watching, and if I were to really work hard on it, I think I could get it. But those Donkey Kong Country ones, like, bro would be like on one part of a map, figure out some way to do a spin or a roll, and then all of a sudden you see him just go through walls and just like all the way through the map because somehow it flung him halfway across this thing, not even negating all walls, no clipping kind of shit. That to me is mind blowing. Like, how do you even find that? Like, how do you even know that would be a possibility? Like, you got to do so many different things. I was watching that Halo run, and it's like, this dude is, like, standing here, and, like, all he's got to do is, like, kind of walk forward a little bit, and then it despawns the dudes. Or he gets to this one section over here, throws a couple grenades, it pops him over here, and then all of a sudden he can fall down into the map and get to here. It's like, so much time is put into finding those small little spaces that you can kind of squeeze through.
Yeah.
Alex, did you ever watch, like, the Jedi Survivor one? To where, like, the last level is on one of the planets. I think it's on the hub planet to where like, all you gotta do is a few things, but like you don't have to go to all those planets. You can literally you get to one objective and then you can find a spot in like that big tower that goes up to the sky in the main hub area. And you could like find a way to kind of get stuck in the wall there, hit a checkpoint, and then you fall through. And that's like that special secret hidden area planet or whatever that's just in that hub area. You just never see it because it's just hidden off this side, so that way it doesn't have to load too fast,
wild.
I guess. But yeah, shit like that blows my mind. That's why I love speed games. Like, speed running is fun when somebody's like really good at the game, but it's those breaking moments that are the coolest, I feel. Yeah, question to bring in.
Nice. Well, thank you for Preston's comment corner.
You're welcome.
When it comes to weeks, Christian, I think you said you wanted to go first. Yeah.
I go. Yep.
How about it?
So I played two things. I kept playing, well, obviously the game we're here to talk about, but then the Elden Ring DLC, and like we said last week, Dawn Trail is out, and Alex and I have been playing for 5 days now because of early access. So I'll just go with this. Elden Ring DLC is defeated. I have finished it. It is very good. It is better than the base game. I do think that there's a point where there is not even in the same ballpark as the base game. There is a little bit of repeated content in it that bummed me out.
You mean that in a good way? Like it's not even in the ballpark of...
Yes, as in like it's not even near as egregious as like the base game was with some of that shit. But it was bummed me out a little bit, and I was like, man, I'm tired of seeing these same things over and over again. But in general, it is basically the base game, but with no fat, like just completely trimmed down. It was very good. I liked it. I think that, like we had talked about before, I think people freaking out about it just, didn't read the tutorial. I don't know what else to tell you. It's really not that crazy.
That is exactly the case. 100% the case. Every article I've seen, you didn't read the tutorial.
Yeah, that's just how it feels. But more importantly, the other game to talk about, Dawn Trail. I will not be talking about anything story related, obviously, because there's two reasons. One, Alex and I haven't finished it, and two, it's just out, so I don't want to spoil it for anybody. But this game is just incredible. Shocking that that's how Alex and I feel about it so far. I'm just gonna say that he thinks it's incredible because I know he does. The quality of life stuff, the mechanical stuff has been insane so far. The content has been way harder than normal and has required like much more healing, much more things based on mechanics. Like they are really fucking going for it, which has felt great in that way. And yeah, I think the story so far has grabbed me. I've been very happy about just sort of the world that they've been building and everything that is going on in this new area, and just finding out about all the ins and outs of everything like that. Yeah, I 0 notes. I think it's been great so far. Trying to think. Oh, the other thing. So Alex can talk about the other class because he has picked them up. I picked up Viper from the new class, and Viper is like a mix between like ninja and samurai. It's like really strange at first, but it is fucking super fun once you actually start getting into it.
Isn't that what Shinobi is? I could be wrong, but like it's when you get like the mix. I thought there was like a name for it, like a mix between the samurai and the ninja.
I mean, there could be, but Shinobi is just another word for ninja.
Okay.
To my knowledge, anyway. Yeah, this is just like, I'm saying just a mix, not thematically, I mean gameplay-wise, sorry. Like,
sure, that's what I was saying,
the
combat it has, yes.
Viper in the game is just like a monster hunter. Like, they just are like, they go around just killing big monsters, and they're like, congratulations, service provided. I'm a monster hunter. Like that's
is that your story quest? What they've done with it so far, just a monster hunter?
There's, cool. I mean, like not to get like too deep into it, but like so, Alex, you know the big sort of like aether-based monsters that happen in this new region that like happen every so many years. Like it's just how that region operates. The Vipers are the main cast of that country that goes and fights them.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what their story is so far. It's great. I've absolutely loved it.
No surprise.
And yeah, no surprise. And then I've been trying to figure out what I want to get into next. I don't know. I've been bouncing between the idea between Mini Shoot Adventures, Nine Souls, or Leica Aged in Blood. I don't know what one I want to get into yet. I'm still.
Well, I know Mini Shoots is going to be pretty short and pretty straightforward. I think it's a good palate cleanser, depending on when you want to use that palate cleanser. Because Nine Souls is about 20-ish. I saw on How Long to Beat.
Yeah,
I'm about 10 hours in now, and I don't feel like I'm actually halfway. But who knows how the story actually goes? But
yeah, that's it. That's my week, man.
Is that it? Well, then let me pick up where you left off. Just because, right? So I'll start off with 14. It is great. I am 100. Well, I think we're all 100 by now, which is the level cap. So
you and I are both 100.
Okay. Travis must be close, I'm sure.
I think he's like 98, 97, I think.
Yeah, so leveling up my primary has been a lot of fun. I've been getting a ton of commendations. Whoop, whoop. Thank you, community. I need to get to 1,500. I'm up to 850 or somewhere, which means I've gotten 100 in like the last 5 days or something. It's insane. But the content's fantastic. I picked up Pictomancer. So Pictomancer is the other class, and it's kind of weird. Christian, I forget which game that came from, but it was a class at another game, I think based off of like...
6, I think?
Sounds
6
familiar.
maybe?
I think that's what they said, or Tactics. I'll look it up. Keep talking.
I didn't know it was from another game until like they were doing one of their, Square kind of like breakdowns of the game, and they said like
History
it
of
follows
the
pretty
class.
closely to the Pictomancer in other games. Yeah. So it's interesting. It's weird. I don't have a grasp on it yet. I've only done one class quest, which is the one to get the class, and then I ran maybe like a daily dungeon or something with it. So your weapon is a paintbrush, and you have like a palette like in your hand, and you run in and you paint like 3 little things. Like one is like a palette of monsters and a palette of something else, but essentially it's damage, healing, and defense. And you're kind of like a damage dealing and support class. It's really weird, but you literally just like paint things and they come to life and they do damage.
That's
and
pretty cool.
It
6.
looks 6. It looks very cool. Christian did make a funny comment, which is very accurate. Like typically in the games before, Summoner, who summons these big like etheric monsters, is very distracting to play because it just pops out in everybody's camera view, and it's like, good luck seeing what you're trying to do because I'm here now. They found a way to make a class more annoying, and it is Pictomancer. Like, it takes up more. It's everything they do is gorgeous, but boy, like you can't see anything, and it is.
Yeah, when Pictomancer does a skill, like you're sitting in a raid, does a skill, you're like, what's happening? Like everything changes. Like it is crazy. Like it's very cool,
worse. It's actually worse. It's really funny. It's worse in PvP because everybody spans this like one move that drops like a freaking bouncy castle on everybody, and it's massive. Like this bouncy
huge.
castle is just absolutely massive. But it looks cool. I don't have the grasp on it yet. So I got my warrior up. That's the one I'm taking through the story. That's the one that I'll use as Christian and I and Travis like do all the high level content and stuff. So that's what I'm doing. But it's great. It looks great. The graphical updates are great. The quality of life things they've done have been great. Even now, I'm starting to do new things that I hadn't done in games past. Meaning like I learned how to do lookouts for the first time, so I'm going through and getting my logs of like my sightseeing stuff, and I was able to do one of the new jumping puzzles, which are these stupid little, literally platforming puzzles in cities that I knew existed in one other city, but have never done it, and I had a chance to find it with Christian and actually do it this time. Like that was cool. So yeah, it's great. I mean, I have the bug. I don't know what else to say. With that, though, it's not the only thing I've been playing. I made a ton of progress on Elden Ring. I have no idea how to judge where I'm at because I haven't yet looked at a log of like the best way to actually make it through the game. But I would venture to say I'm probably 35-40%.
You're talking about just the DLC,
Like,
right? Like you're not doing a new run.
Oh no, no. I'm not doing a whole new run.
so
Like
like
just the DLC. Yeah. I was lucky enough to not have to redo everything like Christian did. So, yeah, I'm not having to redo everything. But I've done a lot of extra bosses. I think I have 7 main story bosses to go. But I've done a lot of exploration. A lot of those extra bosses, I'm more than halfway to the Scad Tree Fragments, which is what you need to make your character powerful enough to like take on bosses in this game.
You don't need it.
No, you need it.
No,
You need it.
Miss Mika because
Unless-
they beat the whole run without having to have any Skidoo tree. As a whole run was the whole like 0 Skidoo tree stuffs, and she did it. It took her 3 days to beat the final boss, but yeah.
I don't know. There's no way to even know Miss Mika's playing that game. They could be somebody off screen playing for her, and she's just
Sure.
face. You never
Okay.
know.
Yeah.
I'm just unless you can talk to her and prove it to me. There's no way to know she's actually playing on a dance pad or anything.
not
like
gonna
Yes,
that.
there is a way to beat every single without getting hit and not doing anything. But yeah, if you want to have a normal time,
Yes, if you want a
will
normal
just level
time.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just saying you don't have to.
So, no, you don't have to. But like,
You could
for
just do
most,
it.
You really
most
should though.
for most humans that don't get paid to do nothing but play video games, because I do have a job, I have to get them.
True. Fair enough.
So yeah, it's really, really good. I hit a bit of a wall the other day after doing a ton of exploration where I was getting frustrated because like I found a boss in another area that I could not beat and was like, I need to go move on. And then I made it to another area and found another boss I was struggling with, and then made it to a castle where I was struggling again, and I was just like, I need to take a break. But when I return, I fully believe I'm be able to work my way through the castle and continue with the story. The problem, though, is I'm about to go out of town, so I actually don't know when I'm going to get a chance to beat it next. Like, because I can't remote play it, I don't have it on the Steam Deck, and Final Fantasy XIV is taking my time, so I don't know when the final of that game is going to come. But it'll come. It's good. Other than that, I've continued to go a little bit further in Like a Dragon. Not much to say. Continues to be great. I continue to get distracted by everything freaking possible. But one of these days, I'll beat the story eventually.
Sure.
Everything about it's too good. It's just they're super good. Like, there's not a problem. There's no complaints with it, and it plays flawlessly and everything. And I think that is it.
No, you beat Senua.
Oh, you're right. I
There you
thought I
go.
beat that last week. I beat Senua
You did beat it last week, but it was before we recorded. Or
Final
after we
thoughts.
after we were.
How did it
it
make
was
you
like
feel?
right after we recorded.
It was right after we recorded, actually.
Like literally, like yeah,
Like
immediately
15 minutes, yeah.
Yeah. How did it make me feel? So, I think I've articulated this before. Yeah, I know.
You were kind of like,
I
meh.
do find it, and I'm still meh. So
Okay.
I told Christian this, and I don't want to get spoilery, but I think I'm gonna have to just to kind of do it. And I'm sorry.
Spoiler
It
alert
is
for
what it
Senua,
is.
Hellblade 2. If you don't want it,
Yeah, and
give
I'm
it a
not gonna
pause.
I'm not gonna explain everything, but it's a little spoilery.
little
if you wanna play it.
details.
So in the first game, we know we had the voices. The voices were something that she got after developing some trauma and some other stuff. Well, I mean, she may have had mental illness before. They don't really go into it, but either way, she's dealing with trauma. She's dealing with the voices in her head. She's kind of somebody that has schizophrenia, right? And it was part of the game. You had to overcome these negative voices and the voices that might be leading you astray in order to progress. Along with that, you were trying to get revenge on the people that killed your fiance, and because of your illness, you see these people as larger than life creatures, like gods from their Nordic mythology or whatever. But oftentimes when you would kill them or you would have lucid moments, you would realize that it's real life, right? It's just that like you were seeing stuff differently. That was fantastic. They changed things up in this one. So at first in this one, many of the bosses are giants, and you see that in the trailer where in the cave you're fighting a giant, right? At first, I thought the giants were the like human embodiment of natural disasters, because you're kind of fighting one that like this area is being tormented by volcanoes, and this giant is supposed to be the one that's like bringing the volcanoes about. So people are like, oh, if we can destroy the giant, then we can stop the terror of the volcano and the fire and all that.
Sure.
When you kill the giant, by means I'm not going to explain, it essentially turns into rock. And you're like, oh, interesting. I'm now having that lucid moment where I just see like a rock structure. So then you're starting to wonder like, okay, what am I fighting here, right? Like, is it real? Is it not real? You go and fight another giant, which is the one in the cave that you actually see in the trailer, which is creating all these terrible storms, almost like typhoons or whatever. And then you defeat it, and like it kind of stops the storms in the bay. There's only 3 bosses in this game, by the way. That's it. It's a lot of walking, but that's another story. So as soon as you beat the giant, and this is where we'll get spoilery, you go to take on the main boss. The main boss is essentially the head slaver, because that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to save your people from being slaves. They're capturing slaves to sacrifice them to the giants in the hopes that if we sacrifice people every day, that'll keep disaster away. I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but it does, so yay me. So like, you're fighting this guy, and as you're fighting him, you have a break in the fight where Senua looks at this mirror she had in the first game. She learns more about either way. Long story short, you learn that the main slaver became king, if you will, through terror. He essentially like scared his people to say like, oh, there's all these giants and other things, and I'm the only one that can protect you, and this is how we have to protect you, so I am your king. That's fine, except for the fact, by that story, I don't know then, like as a player, are these giants real? Are they figments of our imagination? Is he making up the story of the giants with a natural disaster? Or not? Like, it gets so convoluted and confusing to then figure out, like, what's real and not real. And then, the way it ends once you defeat him is it's like, hey, you know what? You weren't able to save all of your people, but it's okay. You've shown your strength to the people around, and they all revere you, and you've overcome your demons, that you're just their leader now. Like, you found your own new community in this place, and you can do things differently if you want to. And Senua kind of looks up at the sky, and your voices are like, everything's gonna be okay now. And then it just goes to black. That was it. Like, with no explanation of anything. And it goes, hey, congratulations.
Was the friends we made around the way.
Dude, and it's like, hey man, congratulations for beating the game. If you would like to experience it with a different narrator, I'm assuming one of the voices and not one of the 4 companions you meet, then turn on other narrators and you can do it. Which, by the way, there are 4 companions. One of the companions you meet in the late stages of the game and has no impact on anything.
Cool.
So yeah, I don't know, dude. Like, I'm very torn on it. There was other stuff that happened in the game where you go into a Fey realm, and like, also I don't know what's real and what's not, because they did a terrible job this game at showing you those lucid moments to where you knew what was real and what's not. Like, so I had a terrible time understanding, like, is any of this real? Have we just gone straight into fantasy, so all of it is real and we're just, I don't know, right? So yeah, I'll return to it later in the year, maybe play with another narrator since it wasn't long, see if that enhances the story, but maybe it does, and then all of a sudden this game has a different set of problems, which is like you gated the full story between multiple playthroughs, right? Like,
sure.
Either way, regardless of what the answer is, the game is problematic, and not in like the cancel sense, but just in the sense of like it proves it did not need to be made. The first game was super well done, and they didn't actually have a good story to tell, right? They just didn't. So
yeah, it doesn't justify itself by the end.
Not at all. So I'm a little upset about it.
Yeah,
it was my most anticipated game of last year. I was really looking forward to it this year. It was gorgeous, but it did not justify itself by the end. So we'll see. I had thoughts. Right now, if I had to rate it personally, I would rate it at a 6. I think the fighting is too repetitive. There's only 4 enemy types in the entire game, though they put different skins on them. They're literally just 4 enemy types. You only have 3 bosses throughout, and everything between is walking. It's like a walking sim.
I have a question, Preston, before you go on with your week.
Yeah.
Are you playing Final Fantasy XIV right now? You son of a bitch!
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are. Discord says you're playing 14. Discord outed you, bro.
Oh, dude!
So I knew I haven't. So the father has.
I kept seeing you look over, like you were looking, and then while you're talking, because like Discord does a really good job of cutting out extra noise, like as things are happening. But when you start talking, there's nothing you can sort of do about it, and so I kept hearing like a tap 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 tap
Click, click.
tap 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 tap.
Yeah.
Tap tap tap.
When
tap, tap.
before we started, I was in a raid and I had to finish it. What's so funny too, is as you were saying that, like as you were asking me, it was the duty complete screen popped up, and I was clicking to exit. So
Very nice.
Well,
yeah, I'm done now.
That's the you know what? That's the review. There's nothing more to be said than right there.
I am done now because I was in that raid, but that's so funny. I had the thought, I didn't know Discord would do it. I go, Christian is maybe still logged in, like hadn't logged out, and if he looks at friends, he's gonna see me on. That's
no, I logged out.
So yeah. So anyway, that's it. So I played Senua, Like a Dragon, Elden Ring. I don't think I played it. I played one other thing, Liza P, but that was when I was traveling and just wanted to.
Little dabble.
Because of Elden Ring, kind of like got you back on that Souls train.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to try it. I played it for like an hour, but honestly, I'm not that far into it, and I was so lost on like what I was doing that I think Christian and I talked about it. I'll just start a new game one day, but that day is
Oh
over.
yeah.
So
Yeah, fair enough.
that's it. And then I beat about 2 hours ago. I beat the game we're going to talk about tonight. Once Preston does his week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's it.
not a whole lot of gaming in my week. Definitely playing more Nine Souls. Still fucking love that game. I defeated 2 more bosses since then. The game goes places. So it's obviously, I mean, if you guys seen the trailer for it, if you haven't, go look up the trailer for those of you listening. It's like this little, I guess he's a fox. He could be a fox. I don't know what he is. He's a cute little guy. He's white fur, has little pointy ears.
Could it be a mouse?
No, he's not a mouse. He doesn't have a tail like that. He's wearing like a big old kimono. But yeah, it's not exactly what sure kind of animal he's supposed to be.
He is some sort of anthropomorphic character.
Yes, as are most of these characters in here. But there is a little boy that hangs out with you too. But yeah, so I got through a couple more areas, and like it makes you feel like it's a very cutesy. It's going to be a very artful, colorful kind of game. It told us at the very beginning, like there's just some story beats right at the beginning that kind of let you know, yeah, it's going to go into like super fucked up scenarios. So we'll show you this one messed up, fucked up scenario, which I'm not going to spoil for the story, and then just be aware that you could have this kind of scenario at any other time in this story. And I definitely had one of those to where like remove the legs of a boss, and this boss was trying to control other creatures with like a control collar. And now that you have this character bloody and dead on the ground, not dead, but like bloodied on the ground with like their legs bleeding out, you put one of those control collars on them, and they're just sitting there going like just fucking seasoned up pretty much and shit. And you just walk away from that boss battle, and you walk out past the door. And I had to come back for something else. Wasn't there anymore. So I have no idea what was going on.
So you
I
were
do know what's going on.
tasked in the game to remove the legs of the boss?
There's a big point. No, you're supposed to defeat these bosses, and the whole thing is that you're getting revenge on this area. Again, no spoilers, but revenge on this area. So you have to defeat. You have to gain all 10 souls, which are these like little like icons. So you have to defeat multiple people within this company, if you will, or in this area to get those souls from them. And then you can open up a door, which will lead you into like the final area where you want to do your thing. One of these characters is very, very mean. Loves to enslave people, obviously. They were enslaving ape men.
As most mean people do.
Yeah, as most mean people do. But yeah, they're enslaving ape men, and
I mean,
they're essentially mutated.
I think you can be mean without enslaving people.
Oh, you
I think there's
could.
plenty of people that
That's
are
not what I
just
said.
mean
Yeah.
that haven't.
That's not what I said, though. I said that as most mean people do, like, anybody who enjoy slavery typically is a mean person.
I would say that most people who enjoy slavery are just bad people in general.
Everyone that enslaves is a mean person, but not every mean person enslaves
Correct.
people.
Yeah.
Yes. But probably wouldn't be too far away from it. But yeah, no, it's just one of those situations where like I'm going through here, I'm fighting things, and they're doing experiments on what they call ape men and stuff like that, to where it's just mutilated people, humans. But apparently everyone's from a different planet. They've all come to this one. But yeah, it's a great game. I don't want to give away any more of the story, but I'm getting more unlocks, having a lot more fun time with it. I haven't dropped it to the easier story mode yet. There was one night to where it was just, okay, I'm getting through a good chunk of the level, and then I got towards like the sub boss before the main boss. I defeated that sub boss that night. Got to the main boss, played him for gave it like 2 or 3 tries. I'm like, you know what? Come back to this tomorrow. And then that night was pretty much just me going after this boss. It was a very cool boss battle. And again, like it's amazing how like you will work on phase 1 of this fucking boss, not even knowing there's a phase 2. At this point, if I get to a main boss, I'm assuming there's a phase 2. But you'll be working yourself to death on this phase 1, like using all your heals and everything like that. And then you finally get to phase 2. Once you get to phase 2, getting through phase 1 is not a problem anymore. Like, no, I got this. I just need to get to phase 2 now. And then all of a sudden you got full heals and everything like that as soon as you go into phase 2, because like you've been working so much on that phase 1. It's a very cool feeling. But it's a very good game. Highly recommend it to anybody out there. These boys have it on their family plans, so whenever they get some free time, I highly recommend it. Good 2D Souls-like.
It looks like it would be at home on a Steam Deck too.
It's amazing on the Steam Deck. Yeah, like I said, I played it for a little bit on the PC when the Steam Deck was down. I'm like, man, I really want to play this. Just play this on my Steam Deck. It's perfect for it. The art style is simple enough to where you're not losing the detail in the smaller screen. I think you guys with the fucking OLED is gonna look so much nicer, because there's a lot of like neon greens and stuff like that that will really pop out for you. So I think it'll be really good for you guys. More KOTOR on the Sundays on the twitch.tv/testingroompod. Went to Tatooine, so we decided to go to Tatooine after Dantooine. Did not get a purple crystal off of the Dark Jedi that showed up. I wasn't very happy about that, but that's okay, because I completely forgot that you get HK-47.
Is it a random drop?
So when you defeat these, and a couple levels you go to, you'll be greeted by some Dark Jedi being kind of looking around for you, I guess. And when you defeat them, there's a possibility they could drop a purple lightsaber, because some of them have purple lightsabers. So Dark Jedi, they're not Sith. So, but yeah, I was kind of disappointed to get that purple saber, but I did get HK-47, which I completely forgot what started off in Tatooine. My brain was thinking KOTOR 2, where you get him off that like space station or some building or whatever. And I kept on thinking, okay, well, let's wait till later in the game when we get him. And I popped through, and they're talking about getting a translator droid to talk to the sand people. And we go into it, and I see him like, oh shit, it's HK. I'm like, maybe it's just a different, maybe it's the same model, but just a different droid. Like, no, it's him. He's got all the quippy banter. So I have him, and I have Canderous in my team, and they're both fucking hilarious. It's been great. I've been loving it. It's been fantastic. But yeah, we're just in the middle of Tatooine right now. We're going to go talk to the Tusken Raiders. I just got to decide if I want to do that peacefully or not so peacefully. I do have the Tusken Raider robe, which I can use. But yeah, we'll see.
You should try to look up the thing beforehand to get all the crazy shit that you can get there, like all the crazy dialogue.
Yeah, so I was double checking the restorative mod, and a lot of it's just dialogue that you get here and there. I don't know if I remember ever seeing this. So if you talk to Bastilla enough, and you get to a certain relationship level with her as far as like friendliness, you find out that her mom's on Tatooine, and there's a whole like small side quest of you talking to her mom and how her mom banded her and shit. So it's I kind of want to get that, but I don't think I have enough. I don't think I've had enough dialogue with Bastilla to do so. But yeah, it's good. KOTOR is still great, fantastic. Been loving it. But yeah, we'll get through most of Tatooine next week, and then after that, we'll probably go to Kashyyyk after we're done with all that. And after Kashyyyk, definitely going to Korriban. I love the whole Sith planet. That's gonna be a real fun one. So I want to get a little more leveled up before I go there. So yeah. Other than that, one little other game I did a dabble. I figured out how to get the family plan going on my Steam Deck. And
does it work now?
Yeah.
Well, you got to go into the beta. So you're still got to go into the beta for it.
Yeah, but it does not.
Well,
it doesn't have the breaking bugs that it had before.
Oh,
Yes,
sure.
it's fixed,
Yeah, say last time I did it, but into beta, nothing, like no game worked.
Oh no, I flipped the switch and it just
Yes.
started putting it in there. And if you guys buy a new game, it'll put it towards the front as far as like the new purchase, kind of
Yeah.
the way it does with your own games. So yeah, I put it in there. Found out what Christian bought from the summer sale because as soon as I booted it up, his games that he bought and I bought were like right there next to each other.
A bunch of triple X visual novels.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's
he's
so
all
many.
about those. It's all about
from a developer called Supergiant, the developer of Hades.
Yes.
All of their graphic novels.
Oh,
yeah.
I bet. I mean, Hades 2 is essentially a triple X graphic novel. To be fair, so we've
That
seen
artist,
that.
that artist is going buck wild in
Yeah.
Hades too.
He knows what he's doing. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did dabble with the one little game. I know that Christian talked about this a while ago, so I wanted to kind of just give it a try and see what it was all about, because you kind of know what it's about, because it's called, You Want These Games, and there's a whole more
Oh shit!
a whole more
Yeah,
continuation to
yeah.
that title, but I'm not going to go through the whole fucking title. But yeah, those dumb little games you see in ads and shit, like on Instagram or whatever, it has a handful of those. I was playing a bunch of the stacked boxes where you get that.
Dude, it kind of gets you a little bit. Like,
It does a little bit, but it's like still almost too easy. Like every once in a while, it trips you up. You're like, oh, well, I just can figure out this way, and it's still kind of easy. I wish there was more variety of those
Maybe you're
games.
just good at those
but-
games.
but that's the thing is that none of those games are actually hard. Like,
No, I
They-
get that. It's fine, but
they download them to get money out of you. So
No, maybe he's just smarter than 99% of people, according to those games.
yeah, true.
99,
Yeah.
so I was
Those ads,
hoping.
yeah.
I was hoping they would have the one I keep seeing recently, which was like the guy's running down a hallway. Sometimes you get like little upgrades left and right, and there's like an army coming at you, and you got to do like, okay, you can get more army, or you can get a tank, or this and that for points. I'm like, I kind of want to play that one. I'm like, oh, it doesn't have this one in there. I'm like, oh, that's okay. But I still went through all of those. It
They
had the
did
little
say that
pin
they were talking
pull.
about adding more as time goes
Sure.
on.
Those games are legitimately like the modern day false advertising, and like just they'll never get in trouble for it because none of those games are ever what they say they are. When it
And
comes
those
to
ads are
graphics
always
Yeah.
like the
and quality.
fucking worst because the guy is like purposely doing it badly. He's like, oh, I want to get this. And then it's like he kind of goes back and forth. I'm like, no, you stay on that one. You would have gotten the machine gun, but you fucking went back and forth and didn't make a decision. And you can just tell he's just hamming it up for the fucking ad. But yeah, that's all I played outside of the actual game we're talking about tonight. Because I did a lot of TV show watching. The usuals are there. You got it's this summer, so it's we're getting the big ones right now. So it's The Boys, House of Dragon, My Hero Academia, Kaiju number 8 just finished up. I want to say there's one more. Oh, Acolyte as well. Can't say anything new about Acolyte because there hasn't been a new episode since the last time we recorded. But I did watch the entire season 3 of The Bear. That they dropped it all in one go. I prefer it week by week. That show is very emotional, and there are certain people, maybe like myself, who are like that show can give you a little bit of anxiety from what it does. It's a very, very stressful show. going back to back to back to back on some of those episodes is a little bit of a roller coaster. As far as the season itself, they ended with a to be continued. I don't feel like there was any like completion of an arc through here. I felt like it was completely unnecessary. I agree with Christian when he said it the last time. There only needs to be a season 1 of this. I did enjoy season 2 because you get a lot more background with like the family and stuff like that. But this one, I just feel they didn't do a lot. They set up some things that you don't get any type of conclusion or satisfaction with towards the end. And nothing felt like we got any satisfaction.
Do you think next season's going to be the final season?
I hope so. I hope
think it might be.
I just want them to be able to finish it and then just let it be. Because it's a great show.
Yeah.
And if you run it into the dirt, it's not going to be a great show anymore.
I think what happened was they had a great first season. They said we want to renew.
No. They had a perfect first season.
Amazingly
That season
they did.
is probably some of the best. It might be. It's top 5 as far as best season of a TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible, and I think they were like, well, we want to renew it, so we need you to come up with a story. And they wrote a great story.
We want more money.
The story wasn't as good as the first season, but the character development was better.
Yes.
And you actually started to like people better. And I think they already pressed them to come up with another idea, and for the third season, because Preston, I haven't watched it yet, but what you just said is everything I've read so far.
Yeah,
like
it's not a bad show.
About that.
Writing is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
The person who's writing and the creator of this show is great. I just either they push them to make more of that, or the person really loves making money and it's like I can still make more money off of this show. And maybe they did have more ideas for the show and they just wanted to kind of fulfill those ideas. Sure. I just feel this third season, while it is still a good show, didn't feel satisfying to me, especially with that to be continued at the end. None of the plot points that they had built up throughout this entire season had any type of conclusion. So this is obviously a part 1 of 2. I
bet you part 2 is the final season.
Well, I'm wondering if they've already have most of that all finished up because they dumped it all at once. Previously, correct me if I'm wrong, but those seasons of The Bear were week to week, weren't they?
It was. Yep. It was
so they just dropped it down, and I'm wondering.
It is weird, that
especially
they did all
since
at
it's an
once.
FX show. Like, what are you doing with your fucking channel then? FX? Are you just dumping it? Are you having a marathon of The Bear at the day?
Dude,
I'll be honest with you.
The
I
FX
didn't know,
channel just
I
watches.
didn't know that channel.
It's just movies.
I didn't even know that channel still existed. Like, Ali
I don't know if it
about
does.
and I thought it was only a streaming channel now. And we then saw it, and I think they were playing like Fast and Furious is all they do anymore.
I'll tell you because I always go past it in hotels. The FX is just a movie channel now. It's the same thing with TNT.
That's how.
Because they're playing like Jumanji and shit the other day.
Yeah,
You're right.
Like,
when I was in a hotel,
randomly they will have like other things.
Yeah.
But 9 times out of 10, it is just movies that are in syndication right now, and you'll just you'll be scrolling by. Like I'll tell you, the last time I was in a hotel, I was flicking through, and the FX it had a Rush Hour marathon, and so it was 1, 2, 3 back to back, and then they did 1, 2, 3 again for people who might have missed 1, 2, 3 beforehand. And that was literally the whole day.
Isn't that their like logo or whatever though? Didn't it used to be like FX has the movies? Like, isn't that their thing?
Yeah, because Fox owns them and they play all the Fox movies. But yeah, they became more of like a show kind of thing. They got Archer, and there's a couple other shows that I can't remember what were specifically on there, but yeah, The Bear was supposed to be a show that was on there.
And now that Hulu is merged with all that stuff, Hulu is just going to take over their shows portion. And you can just, Hulu is basically like having a live television subscription anyway, because they put enough fucking commercials in it. And so you just sit there and, like, all those shows that you would watch, the Archers and the Bear and all the other stuff that will be FX shows, they just live on Hulu anyway.
The worst part is, so I'm moving, right? So I'm looking to save some pennies. So I'm like, oh, Verizon has this deal. Verizon's the cell phone company I have, not a sponsor. They have this deal. Never will be.
Not a phone company.
$10 a month extra. I can get Disney Plus and Hulu, but with ads. There's no ads option. I'm like, well, I wasn't really watching a lot of Hulu at the time. I'm like, yeah, I'll go for this. My mother and my sister start complaining. I'm like, I'll think about it. Mom's like, I hate this. I hate this a lot.
Then your mom and your sister can fucking pay for it. In my opinion.
Mom has recently. My mom recently has she's like, I'll pay for it. She's like, I don't care. I'm like, no, you've helped me out my entire life. Heaven forbid I pay for fucking Hulu for you. and I do use it myself, so I'll pay for it. It's fine. But I'm like, okay, The Bear drops, and it's all the season 3. I'm like, okay, let's watch it. I can't do it. I can't live these ads. I didn't have to watch Hulu very often, if at all, since I changed it, so I didn't care. But now that I'm watching something on it, I care. So I'm sitting there, and it's like they have a break at the beginning, a break at the end, but also 3 breaks in the middle of the show. Not always perfectly lined up to where a commercial break should be.
Nope.
And it's usually the same 4 or 5 ads, unfortunately.
Yep.
It's been driving me nuts, but I can't.
And since Wisconsin is a swing state and it's political season, you will be getting the same ads for political candidates here in Wisconsin.
Yes, I am.
All the fucking time.
Sure fucking am.
I've heard so much about Tammy Baldwin.
So have I. But yeah, so I wanted to change it up, so I canceled the whole plan that I had, a special deal I had. But they're like, okay, well, you can start up your new subscription when this one ends. I'm like, can I just stop it? I'm like, nope. You already paid for this month. So now you got to watch all the Bear season 3 with all those ads. I'm like, cool. So these 40-minute episodes turned into over an hour long episodes because I got 4 fucking breaks for commercials in each show. It was a lot. I'm glad I don't have any other shows I really want to watch off Hulu for right now, but I'm definitely gonna switch back over. Yeah. That's all I got for you.
I fucking hate that company so goddamn much.
It's bad. It's not great. If you changed up the ads and variety, like YouTube, no. I mean, I still have ads on YouTube, and it's not as bad because most of those you could just skip within 5 to 10 seconds. And then B, there's enough of a variety of ads on there to where I don't really notice it as much, the repetitive ads. Hulu just they have 10 ads and they're split between different demographics, I think. But yeah, it's not great. But The Bear, good show. Season 3 is completely unnecessary. We'll see about season 4. See if they actually wrap up some of these. God, they better wrap up these story plot points. Otherwise, I'm just going to stop watching the fucking show. Because it's a lot to take in, and it got a lot of questions that weren't answered. It got even more questions than I did at the end of season 2. And nothing has been answered for me. So,
it is a shame to watch shows you love slowly die. Boring.
I just want to say, I said this after the first season.
Yeah, you did. But season 2 was good. I was gonna give him a try for season 3.
Season 2 was great. I love season 2. Yeah, I thought season 2 was great.
But okay.
Season 3 is proving the point.
Season 2 is good. I think you can argue back. I personally think
I'm not going to put them
season 1
against each
is
other.
but you can, some people like certain parts better. Whatever. Blah blah blah. At the end of the day, season 2 is unnecessary. It's good.
It's
but it is additive. But it is not needed.
Yeah.
And the further you go down that track of things not being needed, the worse it gets. And that is just what they. Yeah.
Well, there's the Joel McHale character where he's the shitty chef teacher, and that's a whole thread this entire fucking season. Nothing happens at the end. They even talk to each other. Nothing happens with that. It's just still left at a what the fuck. You got his sister who's pregnant. They have a whole episode for her, but after that episode, nothing with her. And yeah, it's just, people being assholes to each other in the kitchen.
Yep.
And then I have a chuckle when the facts come in, and it's Matty Matheson, and I get to have a laugh because I like Matty Matheson. I follow his YouTube channel. It's great. He makes a lot of good food. He's very funny and loud.
He does make good food.
Yeah. But yeah, that is my week. Outside of this, I feel disappointed because I didn't watch a new Jetfighter movie this week, but I had The Bear to watch.
That's okay.
Thank you. This episode of the podcast is sponsored by Comic Headquarters. If you are looking for a trade paperback or hardcover, the guys over at Comic Headquarters can help. Even if they don't have what you're looking for, they'll offer to order it in for you. Visit comichqstl.com today, where you can contact them and order that trade paperback or hardcover that you've been looking for. Or give them a call at 314-433-5449. Let them know that the testing room sent you, and you can get 10% off your order.
Well, speaking of stories that do end well...
Yes, they do.
In my opinion.
I'm excited to talk about this ending.
Ace Combat 7. Now, Alex is going to be a little poo-pooey because he's upset that he had to stop playing Dawn Trail to beat this game. I could tell it in the tone of his voice when he was whining about it earlier.
Wait, was I whining about Ace Combat earlier?
When you were like, I have to finish this goddamn game before I can get on and play story mode with you.
First of all, you know damn well I didn't say it like that, but yes.
Yeah. So anyway, but we're gonna go through. So same thing, and then actually, this is the end right here. So at the end of this, Alex will be telling us what his game is.
Yeah.
Whether it's from his little list that he has in there, or whether he's pulling from Preston and I's list, we'll see.
Now he knows it's there.
Yeah. But we'll see.
I've always known it's there, you turds.
Prove it.
But yeah, so we're gonna get into it here. So we're doing the last 5 missions here, and I just want to say, Alex, I know last time we were talking, I said you wanted more bombastic, like you hoped there was more big climactic missions. And I think now that we can finally say this game delivers
for sure
at its end there. But yes,
it delivered in the final one in a way that I didn't expect, and I don't know if I really loved it or not. But yeah, it did deliver in a way I didn't expect.
We'll get there. So, mission 16. So this opens up with a scene from the scientist describing what we saw in the previous scene, right? So the satellites being hacked by the Eurasian government, and that sort of disrupting communications everywhere. And that fire that Preston was seeing that we were coming in was a lot of the satellites after they had been hitting non-government satellites and sending basically just a bunch of space debris crashing down through the atmosphere. So really cool. There, and then he was describing about how he has his plan currently to take all of Mihai's data and upload it to all of the drone factories so that they are going to make some fucking crazy super drones that all fly like Mihai, which would effectively end this war because nobody would be able to do anything because just overwhelming numbers, thousands of drones that can fly like that guy will probably we'd be in a bad
you put something in the air, it's gonna be shot down.
If you know what. If you want to see me go against 1,000 drones, create a horde mode and watch me take down 1,000.
Yeah.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah. In a world in which your plane can take about 6 or 7 missiles, however many you can take on easy mode. But yeah, so and then he talks about how he's gonna take Mihai's granddaughters with him to this new particular place that they're going to. And as he's leaving the base, he sees the princess's plane, her escape plane, fly over his head. And from right there, we go into our next briefing. So we, over here at Strider Squadron, are getting ready to help protect a Eurasian general that is defecting. After the last couple of operations and everything going on, the Eurasian sort of populace is sort of split. They are pretty upset with how things are going, and there's a bunch of people who don't want to be a part of this anymore. And so we found a general who's willing to defect. And so we spend our time, this is the new sort of setup for some of these missions, where because all of our satellite data is gone, we have to hand ID targets and make sure that we are not shooting allies ahead of time. The other crazy thing here is that sometimes you will have allies could potentially be fighting against each other until you coordinate that they are allies, and that AWACS then sends out a ping to everybody saying, hey, idiots, stop shooting at these people, we've updated these things, blah blah blah. So you are spending the entire time sort of defending this defector as he's making his way through the area to go to the rendezvous point. About let's say 3/4 through the mission, who shows up but that scumbag fucking scientist. I just quick poll and then I'll keep going. We don't have to, we'll get into obviously how we do every episode like this. We'll get all into it at the end. Quick poll, who shot at him at least once, just to let him know that you knew.
I don't remember if I did or not. What was he, like in a special helicopter?
He's in a special plane. No,
he was in a plane. He's in the lead plane.
And he has two sort of escorts with him.
Is this where they tell you not to shoot?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So the escort started. I'm like, okay, they tell me not to shoot. But then there's a second group of fighters that come in, and they start talking about how they're fucking around. So I end up starting to shoot those before I get the right to fire, if you
Okay.
will, and it's give me mission failure.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, I did not
Yeah,
at first.
same.
No.
I did not shoot at him. As soon as those others came in, before they said weapons hot, one of those planes caught 2 missiles to the face
That's
and
funny.
exploded.
So what I did
And
is
he just
I-
fail.
I targeted him and I sent 1 missile directly at, and the count was like, Trigger, what the hell are you doing? They're like, hey, do not shoot him. And I was like, nah, I'm not gonna do any more. I just wanted to send 1.
Oh, it was just a kiss.
So let him know.
Just a little kiss.
In the one before, we had to manually ID people right out the gate. I was like, I didn't really understand. It was getting close, and it would show them in yellow. But then my lock-on would light up, and I was like, oh, well, if my lock-on lights up, then like that must be saying like they're enemies. And I shot one. He was like, hey. He's like, I've been hit. It's okay though.
told you no fire.
Not too much damage. Like it's
Yeah.
all right. I can still fly. And I was like, oh, okay. I guess I shouldn't shoot them.
Yeah. Yeah, so, but to your point, Preston, about a little bit after the exchange between AWACS and these people where you go, they're going to let them go through because they're civilian on board and blah, 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 which is obviously bullshit. I mean, technically not bullshit. The granddaughters are on there, but in general, you could have really ended this war right then by smoking that plane, but you don't know. And some defective drones show up and they start fucking around, and so you get the green light to take them down. You kill them. And then as you are, everybody's returning home, you get a scene where the defector is leaving and some Oshia planes that don't know everything that just happened get the ID tag on this guy. They don't even, their AWACS control basically says, smoke him. I don't care. Don't even, it doesn't matter. Like, we're not asking questions. They smoke him. They find out later, whoops. Well, we tried, but, we're back to fucking square one. So Mission 17 opens up, and we have Avril is back, and...
Nothing.
What was it you said?
Levine.
Yep. And,
Continue. Glad we stopped.
So she's back with the 444, and they are trying to get some planes together to get people in the air, but all the comms have been down, and they've basically just been like, well, look... We have a bunch of security guards with us from the plane that went down that we were on. Everybody's sort of sticking together, but we have to be careful about how we move because since we were part of the criminal squadron and the other people in that criminal squadron revolted and just started being random and taking random people out, they have to be careful, right? Because, you're only going to be around so long before people decide that you're too much of a liability and they decide to smoke you. But they happen upon the princess, and it cuts to the princess where her plane went down. Basically, everybody that was around her got executed except for her, including JPEG Dog. Rest in peace, JPEG Dog.
Mm-hmm. They gave you a little shot of the foot.
Yep. He died defending the
Sad
princess.
story.
So she basically, goes on about, it cuts to what happened with the princess's plane. And then we go right into our briefing where we are running low on supplies. And we basically have no fuel, no ammo, and we're trying to make it back home so that we can figure out what the hell is going on. But the easiest way we can do that, we think, is that Count has an idea where we should go back to Tyler Island, where we had ran an operation before as the 444. And we are going to take that base and make it our new base of operations and then take the supplies and go from there. We are still identifying our own targets, and in the middle of this mission, as we are fighting, we get a call from Avril, who now is deciding that she wants to go under the nickname Scrap Queen.
Yep.
You know what? People get to choose their own code names every day, and sometimes people are good at it, other times people aren't.
It was a choice.
It
was a choice.
She was named, she called herself Queen forever, right? Because, you
Yeah.
can get the Queen's
Yes.
mod or whatever for your ship. But yeah, Scrap, dude, you got, I don't know if either of you ever watched Glow on Netflix. It was the wrestling show with Alison Brie, and it was about, the female wrestlers. It was a good show. Allie and I watched all seasons, but there was this character named Trash Queen. So as soon as I heard Scrap Queen, that's immediately all I could think of was this 70s over-the-top female wrestler who ran a junkyard. It was ridiculous.
So she basically lets us know, hey, I have intel for you guys that would help you here and help you in the war, but before I deliver it to you, I need your help protecting a bunch of these refugees that we have sitting next to us. And the guy, AWACS is like, okay, yeah, sounds good. Just fucking let us know where we gotta fucking destroy these people. And as we are going through there, the princess decides that she's going to take it upon herself to take the smoke grenade and light up where those targets are at. And Avril calls her a dumbass like 3 times, I think.
It's her favorite word.
Yeah, it is her favorite word. It's also her nickname for us later, but we'll get there. So, but they paint the target to the smoke grenade. We take all them out. The refugees start singing. Everybody's excited. And Avril goes, hey, just so you know, there is going to be some Arsenal bird planes that are launching soon. We heard it from a soldier right before he died that he wanted to atone for his crimes. So I don't know what that means, but they'll be apparently launching soon. And Wax is like, that's actually good intel. Thank you. We'll keep an eye out for that stuff. And no sooner does he finish that sentence, does the underground launch bay for the 2 resupply planes for the Arsenal bird launch. And we are now on a 3-minute timer to catch them through a lightning storm and take them down. And I don't know about you, but the explosion that you get when you kill these is fucking
massive.
Awesome. It's really cool.
Every once in a while you get those kind of same thing, but it's even bigger on the supply ship.
Yeah, it's huge. I think it's because of the maybe some of like the electrical charges that they were having, like some of the shield charges maybe that it was carrying, that they just fucking like this big.
Well, you saw.
explosion.
I mean, we'll talk about it in the last mission, but they actually used something that has those bombs. So I'm assuming those bombs are all stored in that plane. And it's just
Could be.
fireworks go off as soon as you kill it. So
yeah. So we take them down, but we find as we go through, Tyler Island is basically it's not worth it anymore. There is all the things we've taken out, but there's a bunch of enemies there. It would cost way more resources to kill everybody on that island and try to retake it than it would be just to leave and take all the allies that we've gained from that and try to go somewhere else. So I put in my notes here. This opening scene is with our new girl boss squad, which is Scrap Queen and the Princess, and they are talking about the space elevator and how she just can't believe that Oshia was cool with Harling trying to blow it up. And Scrap Queen goes, that's not what happened. I mean, we don't know, but she goes, that's not what I heard. What I heard was that he blocked a missile that was fired to stop it from being destroyed. And they both basically figure out together what wartime propaganda is, which was really funny. Considering that the princess was the main cause of all of the propaganda on their side. So it was really funny to just see them both be like, wait, are people lying to us? Like, it's really weird. But yeah, so they go through that, and they basically figure out at the end of this that the only way the princess is set in her ways at this moment that the space elevator needs to be destroyed for this war to end. That's what she believes at this current moment in time. And it cuts into our next briefing here, where we are now at critical levels of supplies, and we are going to a old castle that is that has a bunch of supplies in it, and we are going there just to steal, straight up. They were like, look, this is about survival. I don't care. We have to go in here. We have to take out their defenses, and we have to get these supplies, and we have to use them to go home. And so you are basically destroying all of these defenses around this castle, and getting ready to infiltrate it when who shows up but Mr. X and his Soul Squadron. And you take out about 2 of the Soul Squadron members before Mr. X shows up. And when Mihai shows up here, they basically just say, hey, everybody on Strider Squadron basically just goes, you know what? You deal with him. We'll take care of everybody else. Don't even pay attention to other people. Like it's don't worry about it. And you and Mihai get into it for what ends up being the final showdown between you and Mihai. So you are, and he's basically saying, as you go on the fight, he basically says like, look, there's soldiers that are a cut above the rest, born every generation, and it seems like you might be one of them. And so I need, like, this is a test. Do you think that you'll be able to sort of lead or change the fate of whatever's going on here? Or are you just going to fall and, whatever? And you shoot him down, and he basically right at the end goes, hey.
That scene got anime as F when he was like, it's not just the machine. I can't do this with the guns. I have to do this with my body and soul. And I'm just like, okay.
All
Yeah.
right.
Let's
To be fair,
the dial down a bit.
This game has been anime the whole time, but yes, they do really go after it. But as you fight him, first of all, I think that the fight is great, but we'll get to that later when we go over the overall stuff. But as you are fighting with him, and you shoot him down after this crazy fight ensues, he basically says, "Look, I am regretful of the part that I played in all of this, and right before I go down, I'm going to transfer over to you guys the details of the drone production facilities, because they are going to take my data and upload it to a drone factory, and this is not, like, it's not okay. This is not what we should do. These things are going to indiscriminately kill hundreds, thousands of people. I'm entrusting this to you to end this." And you assume at the moment that he died, his plane crashes, nobody gets a reading from him anymore. And that's it. It ends, and they go, okay, we have our new goal. So we refuel here at and resupply here at the cave, but instead of going home, we are going to try and solve this issue with the drone factories, and specifically stopping them from uploading the data to to those drone factories. So this mission opens up, mission 19 here, and it opens up with Avril describing what the scene looks like inside the drone factory, where the scientist is there and he's trying to get that data uploaded. And one of the granddaughters yanks the chip out of the computer and then shoots it with a gun.
Which is like, she just threw it on the floor, aimed the gun at the floor, and just, like, that's so dangerous. You have a packed room.
She's not a trained soldier, right? So, no discipline here, but she just was like, yeah, fuck this thing, and shoots it, and basically is like, this is the shit that, killed my grandfather, blah, blah, fuck you. And we end up finding out that as we were, the scientist is actually a Belkin. So this, they explain, they explain what you need to know about Belkin, but one of the previous games deals with the Belkin War, that, all that stuff. But they basically explain what you need to know is that there was a war that involved the country of Belka. Previously they lost all of their land, and their people sort of basically took it upon themselves that they are going to instigate conflict around the globe so that the people of this planet can more or less... It's like the old Paladin meme of, God has decided to let me live for one more day, and so I'm going to make it everybody else's problem. And that is essentially what they were doing. And he says that right as the data was uploading, he had a change of heart and decided that he couldn't go through it. But it just so happened that it coincided with the fact that the princess, or one of the granddaughters, yanked out the chip and shot it. Yeah. But as Avril's squad basically has him, dead to rights, and has everybody in that room, sort of lined up, he basically says, look, it didn't get to complete all the way, but it was uploaded to 2 drones at a factory, at 2 different factories. So one drone at each factory has been produced with his data. And during this, and he goes to give you the locations for them. And during this process, the princess sort of comes to grips with the fact that she was lied to about the space elevator completely. and has been wrong about it this entire time. And this now leads into our briefing here, where we are.
Can I ask one question? Because I think it happened in the cutscene right before. There was a painting or
Mural.
picture.
Yeah.
Mural with space elevators.
Multiple.
Elevators.
Yes.
Multiple.
That was Harling's vision. Yes.
Oh, his vision. Okay, I was confused. His vision was to have more than one.
Yes.
So
It was his
Unite
end
the world
goal
with
of that
energy
project.
and all that, yeah.
To be able to basically have free energy and endless prosperity and that kind of thing. But we get this intel from Avril at the opening of this briefing that is basically like, look, shit's about to go down, and we have to secure the space elevator immediately, or else we're fucked. So if you want to end the war, head there. And she basically sends it to every available Ocean soldier that is still around, and Eurasian defectors as well. So the plan is that we have to take out that final Arsenal bird, because if we try to go after the space elevator, that Arsenal bird will show up and we will be fucked. We wouldn't be able to handle it. So we go and we create our plan to take the fight to that Arsenal bird and take it out. And this mission, to me, is I thought this fight was incredible. But what you have to do essentially is, as you go to start fighting the Arsenal bird and you're slowing it, like you're taking out its propellers and trying to slow it down, you really just want to bring it down. You find out through there with some details from the Eurasian and scientists and Avril's team, basically, that you have to, there's like certain weak spots that you have to go after here. So you have to basically get like under the plane and sort of be angled up a little bit to take off like two of its little cargo hold pins and hooks that sort of those will drop out the middle. Then you can get like the laser cannon and you can get like the core of it underneath there and take all that stuff out. And it really has you like flying in at crazy ass angles to get all that stuff done as you're shooting down the stuff to take it down. As you're taking it down, it crashes down in the water. Everything looks good, and they basically, Avril's team is inside the space elevator, and they are trying to take down a bunch of the like all the control center stuff in there that Eurasia was holding. And the princess decides that she has to be the one to do this because she doesn't tell anybody this, but she decides she has to be the one to do this because she feels responsible for everything that's happened. And as the mission starts to succeed and everybody's being stoked, she is getting ready to parajump from the top of this fucking space elevator, or not the top, but a very high level, and parachute down. And basically everybody says like, hey, no, wait, because as she's about to do this, the two drones that were made with Mihai's data showed up, and they start flying around. And as she has already pieced out and jumped off, it looks like a missile collided around her or at her, whatever. And you are pretty positive that she got smoked right there, and the mission ends right there. And it basically opens up immediately with the princess scene and a bunch of different flashbacks to all the moments of before this. And everybody has gathered basically at this docked aircraft carrier that was a little bit ways out to go after the final mission here, which is the drones are trying to figure out a way to upload their data to the space elevator, because as Avril finds out, the top part of the space elevator is a giant transmission tower. And so if these drones are able to get inside, get their data uploaded, it will then use that to ping basically every remaining drone factory, and they'll start spitting out drones left and right with this new data. And so you spend this last mission getting into basically a fight with two Mihais, and not only after you shoot them down do you think, okay, we've done it. These things so basically eject themselves from the plane, and they are like the weird drone.
They shed their backwards wings.
Yes. And they become that weird drone that we fought back in Mission 13, I think, that shows up at towards the end,
wings,
which was an experimental drone that Eurasia was testing. Well, now we know what they were testing it for, and here it is, a new lighter, agile one that can take less hits, but can potentially get to where it needs to go, or whatever the mission is. As we kill the one, we find out that there's the second one, the first one that we shot down was able to eject properly and goes right for the entrance to the space elevator. And this scene, just my personal opinion, is fucking awesome and badass.
Straight from Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, it is a trench run for sure. Yeah. But you are flying in, and you basically and you and Count have the bright idea that you are going to fly into the space elevator and try and take down this drone before it can do what it needs to do. And you are flying down this tunnel, and boy, is it tight.
It's tight.
Your wings are scraping along the sides.
If you bump, you're just not going to be able to level out.
Yeah.
You're going to do the
and it's not even a straight, which, by the way, it's just engineering. Nobody would build it wavy, but that tunnel is so wavy up and down. And then on top of all that, they're like, but what if we put closing doors on you at different sections?
Well, it's supposed to be a road, right? Like, it's not supposed to be something that things are going to fly into. It's just that's what they were using it to. But it is a road with multiple things of all this other stuff. So it's meant for cars, and you're taking a jet through it. But yeah, so you fly through that, you're chasing the drone down.
The one thing I liked about that is they don't give you a big flashing bright sign that says like enter here. Like after the cutscene, I was flying around, I was circling, and as I was coming up, I just saw I saw a little purple light like where the entrance is, and I was like, oh, I need to go down there. But there's not like we're gonna guide you into
on
it
the
or
radar.
Like,
it shows you 3 arrows.
If you take long,
I think with me and being on a small easier difficulty, it just showed it to me automatically.
Oh, okay, yeah. But yeah, so you start flying in, you're chasing the drone, and the drone decides that it's going to start hacking doors and shut them on you like a Fall Guys fucking level, and you're like trying to get to the open ones. Count's behind you, and then the drone basically was hovering and waiting and shoots Count's gas tank. So he is basically limped. He's still flying, but he's not able to give it any gas. And you come into the main area of the space elevator, and you have now 3 minutes to shoot down not only the drone, but all of the relay nodes that it's currently uploading the data to. And so you get that done in a crazy close quarters tight fucking situation. And the entire time Count's like, hey, don't worry about it. Just you focus on killing that thing. I'm going to figure us out a way out of here. We'll figure this out. And as you are going through this fight and you knock everything out, Count's like, all right, I've got our escape plan. You're going to fly out of this fucking space elevator. Like, the windbreak is going to be pretty crazy up there. So you're going to have to deal, be mindful of that. But that's our way out. You're going to have to do this. And unbeknownst to you, we'll get there in a second, but there's a reason that Count had that plan and the space elevator opens up, but we'll get to that. But you fly out, and me personally, I loved that. I loved you're already going slower than you normally would, so you are already at a risk of stalling in general. And so you have to do like a nice sort of, I mean, it depends on how you want to do it, but like I had to do like a nice little air brake turn to like angle myself in right to be able to sort of slide right into the opening and then get out and start my exit out of the space elevator. And then you fly straight out, and you can exit a couple different ways. Once you're finally at the top, you can just keep flying straight, and you'll go out, or you'll do what I did, which was I was lined up with one of the side exits. So I did like a lean. So I just like did like the cool guy exit. Like I just like completely was sideways and flew out and went down. But yeah, so that you exit. Everybody's like, yo, there's Trigger. I see him. Holy shit, he did it. And they're like, where the fuck is Count? And then Count's like, I'm here. I'm on the ground. And they're like, what the fuck do you mean you're on the ground? He's like, I had to do an emergency landing. My plane's out of juice. He's like, but here's my location, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, you crazy bastards, blah, blah, blah. But everybody is like, that's our Trigger. He's the fucking best. He's so fucking cool. Like, and then you get a radio transmission from astronauts that were on a mission in space, which they did talk about in the previous mission, where there was missions that had been launched to space. There was one mission that got launched to space that was on a return trip at some point. Nobody was under the war sort of threw everything up, but there was a scrapyard of like old spaceships from when they decommissioned that program after that first mission had launched and been sent up there. But that space elevator was also going to have a dock that would allow spaceships to be able to unload, and then also the astronauts to return to Earth and do the whole thing, right? Well, so happens that when Count opens that up, the astronauts were on their way back in, and you effectively saved those people, because if the space elevator, because of the war, had not opened up, they would have just been stranded up there and eventually just been floating in space and not been able to do anything. And so you and Count are... what did I put here for my notes? So inadvertently, we save an entire space mission. What heroes? So we have that happen, and that is...
I love the thought of like, oh, what a lucky day. What a lucky day for us. Like, we saved the day.
And there's a little extra benefit here.
We're in space. We're coming home. You're like, oh, look at us.
Yeah, and they do that. And what's funny about it is that they basically, the space astronauts are basically like, oh my God, whoever just did this is a hero. And not only that, but the data that we've brought back has like all this invaluable sort of data for resources, everything that we need for to be able to keep continuing. You have no idea what you've just done. Like, you are a massive, massive fucking hero. So not only did you end the war with Eurasia, but you saved a space mission, and Trigger goes down as probably, I would assume, the greatest soldier ever in history.
Yeah, I would assume that is now called the Trigger Space Elevator.
So, yes, yeah,
right?
yeah. It has to be. It has to be. But yeah, so that is how this game ends, and now we can get into the final thoughts about the gameplay for all these 5 missions, everything, where we're at. As always, I will go last, and then afterwards we will rate this bad boy. Yeah. So,
okay,
whichever one of you wants to go first.
I can start. So, yeah, I mean, the ending was great and it was climactic. I continued to play in the immersive way that I played, but after the Warbird, right? Like the big after that mission, you get a ton of money for that.
Oh yeah.
So I was able to go into the final mission with the final plane in the tree, which is one step further than I was, with a ton of upgrades. So it felt really good. But leading up to that, I liked all the missions that we had going. I wasn't at first a huge fan of the radar issues where you had to get close.
Yeah.
But after a try or two, when I figured out like you're just getting closer, right? It became pretty quick. And the subsequent missions where I didn't have the radar, when we were doing like essentially the carpet bombing runs of different areas and guiding the car to where it needed to go, I was able to do that pretty quick. I was just getting closer. There were a couple times where I was getting so close to things until it would show up, like I would blow them up and the explosion would happen and I would just go flying through it. Like a movie, which was again like super cool.
And I should say Mission 19 opens with, as you're flying into it, AWACS basically goes, "Hey, no need to ID all these fucking things.
Kill everything.
Fuck them. Kill them all.
Just kill everything." And they're like, "Well, should we ID? And what are they like? What are they fighting each other?" It's like, don't care. Just it doesn't matter.
Yep.
So yeah, like that all felt good, but man, when the Mihai fight was really, really good. With my plane upgraded, the one before the last, he didn't stand a chance. He didn't stand a chance last time. He didn't stand a chance this time. But they did a good job in giving him more hits. I think it took like 7 or 8 hits to actually take him down.
Mm-hmm.
So that felt good. I loved the big mission with like the huge plane, because the Arsenal Bird. I just want to say Warbird. The Arsenal Bird, because like they did this really cool balancing act of you would get in and you would shoot it, and then you would see the force field line start to expand, and you had to get outside of it. And there were a couple times where like I would, because I didn't want to leave it. I wasn't like doing big loops. I was just slowing down enough to where I could hover like right behind it. There were a couple times where that force field would go off where I was like, I could stick my hand out of this window and touch this force field. Like, I was very close. And it was really cool, too, because they would show you, like, you would be flying behind the force field, and either a drone would hit it or a missile would hit it, and, like, they would just explode on the side of the force field. So that was probably my favorite mission out of all that we did. I think that was a great fight. It took the Arsenal Bird fight a step up, because you didn't just, like, take out the propellers. You had to do all of the stuff, take it down. And it was the first time that I nailed the, like, right and left look out the window. So when I realized the time stopped in the corner, I was like, cool, the mission's done. I don't have to worry about, like, dying or whatever. And as the Arsenal Bird was, like, slowly going down, I was hovering behind it, and I just let off the brake and, like, got beside it, and I just, like, looked out the side of my window of the plane, and I'm just, like, watching it slowly go into the water, and I was like, that's how this is supposed to feel.
Yeah.
Like, it's supposed to feel really good. The drone fight was great too. I like that one. I had a lot of fun. I went to it with a faster plane by this point, so it wasn't easy, and the maneuverability was crazy, but I really enjoyed that fight. It just wasn't as high to me as the one before it, because I just really liked the cinematics of the one before it, but I loved the trench run. I thought that was very cool. It took me 3 attempts, because the first one, I was worried about catching up to it, so I just, like, hit the gas, and this...
Oh, you go fast as fuck, yeah.
My plane by this point
I
got up
imagine
to, like,
when you got that first
2,600.
one, you went too fast.
So at first I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, in my brain, it only makes sense to have one straight shot that's like a mile of this thing. So I'm like, let's do it, right? It's going to want me to catch it before it gets there. So I'm flying, and all of a sudden I see the like waviness in the road, and I was like, oh no. So I was like, okay, slightly up, and I came up a little bit, hit the top of the road, and it shot me straight into the roof, and I just exploded, and it was like, done. I was like, okay, slower. Attempt number 2, I was going through, and I was like, shoot, I don't know which way to go, and then I was like, oh my gosh, the center door is shutting. So instead of going fast, I panicked and went to the left, where the door did this, like, slow hover and then slammed shut, and I just careened into it. And then the third attempt, I was like, slow and steady wins the race, and I did it just fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, the first was way too fast, and it just, like, ricocheted me off the road and exploded. But it was good. I liked it. It was different. Again, I do like the fact that it wasn't, like, right here, like, big shining lights everywhere. Like, yeah, you can see it, you can find it, but just like landing the plane on ships and other things in the game, they're like, you have to drive in this little canal, right? Like, we're not going to start you off here. We're not going to, like, remote control you into it. Like, you got to do it, man. It's all
They
you.
could have easily done a
fit.
cutscene of you getting into that tunnel.
Yeah, they could have, and they didn't, and I really appreciated that. Same thing with leaving. They could have cutscened you out,
Yep.
right? And you didn't. They're like, you got to... Again, like, I had to figure out, like, as I'm flying in a circle, I have to look over and see, like, where are these entrances? And then I had to be the one that, like, flew up and out. And I actually died once on that one, too. Same thing. Was like, I'm going to need to go against gravity. Let's shoot ourselves out of here. And I didn't expect there to be actual elevators in there. And I just shot right into one. So I had to do that part over, too. But, yeah, I liked it, man. It was a good game. The mechanics were great. The immersion was great. It felt good. It looked good. The sound was good. Like, I have no complaints other than... And it's not even a complaint. It's just a goofy thing of, like, anime game's gonna anime.
The story
of, like,
is...
we're gonna save...
Yeah.
We're gonna save a twist till the very end. And it's, like,
It
the
gets
most
you to the
ridiculous
cool parts.
thing.
That's all that matters.
Yeah. Of, like, hey, there's a spaceship. You're like, oh, okay.
Neat.
But
Yeah.
it was good.
Yeah.
I liked it. It was a fun game. Yep.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, start off at 16. Wasn't a big fan of painting it, but I didn't mind too much. The one thing I'll say is that I try to get hella fancy because there's a lot of, like, highway spots on this level. So there's some times where, like, you get, like, a circular set of highway, and you'll have, like, tanks and AR weaponry, like, in between levels of it. So you see from afar, you start shooting lock-on missiles, it hits the highway before you get there. I'm like, well, fuck it. We're just going to fly through it and look super fucking cool and have all these explosions and shit. I died a couple times trying to do that. Be trying to be fancy, but it was fun doing it. Other than that, once the Mikau fight was fine, it was just kind of like the other ones to where it's, you just wait for your opportunity to actually finally maybe get some shots as far as bullets onto him. Most missiles will not even, he'll maneuver outside those missiles. Once we got to I want to say the third to last mission 18. I think that's where I finally got the last plane. So it's the Su-57, the Su-57, whatever you want to call it. But that has pulse lasers that you can get.
Yes, it does.
So Preston's living his dream right now because it's pretty much just Rogue Squadron, except that we're like no space battles, and it's not Star Wars. It's like I'm shooting a fucking laser gun. I got missiles and shit. And then, yeah, so it's that. I don't know if, did you guys mess with any of the lasers or anything like that this game?
Yeah.
Midway through, I used some of the lasers, but the manual aim for me was too slow with the lock on. I could just target, shoot, and it was faster.
So when it comes to the plane, the Big Bird plane, that's really nice for it because those drones can't jump into the front of your secondary weapon at that point. Because it's literally just bullets, but like more expensive, more damaging bullets. So I'm going through the propellers, be like, because there's not a long wait for you to shoot next, like the missiles are. It's not as fast as the machine gun, and you don't have infinite ammo for it, but you get a lot of ammo for it to start off with. And I'm just going through pelting all the propellers down for it. I'm going in, and it's the hook and the laser wasn't as bad to take down on that big plane, but the hook for some reason I just wasn't able to get a beat on it. But yeah, those are very awkward angles trying to get to parts of those planes, parts of that plane, and then we get to the final ending of it. Before we got to the ending, though, they have you land on that carrier. I do love all these like small pieces to where it's like the refuel, like little mini game that you can totally skip if you want. It's not really a mini game. It's just like, hey, just try to go slow and get accurately up there. Same thing with some of the landing strips that you get to. But this one I died on a couple times trying to land that carrier, always coming in too fast. And they're like, no, take off, you're going in too fast. I'm like, you don't let me stop. Like I can't keep going. Like I put on the gas because I know I'm going too fast, but you guys already got me locked into the landing, so I died a handful of times on that one. Ended up, because my issue was that you get close and you realize you're not low enough. Well, to get lower, you're going to gain a bunch of speed when you aim down because you're falling into a certain point. So like you're gaining like 200 kilometers per hour just angling down a little bit, and you go too fast when you hit it. So you ended up get level.
You know you're playing as a brake, right?
Brake doesn't matter. Once you get to around 300 to 400, brake stops working, and if you angle down, at least for the plane that I was driving. Because as soon as I aim down, it's not braking, it's falling. Because you're going so slow that you're pretty much just falling. So that's the trouble I have with that one for a little bit. And then you get to a couple of those drones. I'm going to tell you right now, I had a super easy time with these drones once I got the pulse rifle. Because the missiles aren't hitting these motherfuckers. Like you'd have to like go head on head, like face to face on them, and even then they can break away from it super duper quick. But with this pulse rifle, if you're getting any beat on them, what's that? Oh, you kill him with missiles? No, I couldn't hit him with missiles to save my fucking life. It was a standard missile, so maybe I didn't have any nice missiles that kind of maneuvered a little bit for me.
Yeah, you do have high maneuverability missiles.
Yeah, there are out there.
Planes too.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, they'll go straight for a little bit, whether it's going straight up or going straight down. And then you just hit that pulse laser on them. It's like, and they boom, gone. Lucky for them, they got like 2 or 3 lives because they just pop off these wings and have like a secondary set of wings they're going to use. I'm like, you motherfuckers. But yeah, then you go into that last section, and it's literally the end of Return of the Jedi. You're Lando Calrissian, Nib Nub, fucking floppy cheeks going through like that little tunnel right into the middle of the Death Star. And you're in that center point where you have to take down a couple points of interest inside the center circle area. And that was a pretty straightforward. The drone went super duper slow, so I had to kind of find a weird way of hitting him, but pretty easy to take down. That last section, boosting up at the top, that's just the end of Star Fox 64. Like, literally, like, you're just going out there. The only difference is you don't have fire coming out behind you as you're trying to escape this tunnel. But it's pretty much what it was. I'm like, oh, we're doing Star Fox 64 ending right now? Fucking A, this is awesome. But it was good. It was great. Yeah, give me those lasers, and give me the whole Return of the Jedi / Star Fox 64 ending. It was a nice little cherry on top of the cake because this game is already fucking phenomenal. Like outside of like just the story being kind of a little goofy, maybe a little bit too much, if you will, as far as like what's going on there. But it doesn't matter because it's all there to set you up for these cool fucking missions, doing these cool fucking things. And in the end, it wasn't too overbearing. It was just a little like the story could have been just meh for me. Maybe get a little more basic if you want to, but all in all, what matters is the actual gameplay and what you're doing through that time. That's all that matters to me. It's a phenomenal game.
Yeah, so for me, I think you guys, the gameplay for me is still going through this replay. I was just like, God damn, there's nothing like an Ace Combat game. Like it is just.
Yeah, I'm definitely stoked for the next one, whichever one comes out.
Yeah, they're so fun to play, and they always feel so good, and it's just everything about it. Story-wise, honestly, this one has the most production value and most story out of any of them. I will say that for me personally, I still, even on a replay, I think the astronaut reveal at the end is something that I don't know who greenlit that, but it just isn't needed. It's so dumb.
Whatever.
Like,
it's fine.
Like it would have been better if you just say, and he ended the war, and that's our hero. Everybody's happy and everybody's clapping for him. It's like now he's a global hero because he fucking saved the astronauts, and you're like,
with priceless data, yeah.
Like if it was just extra for extra sake. But obviously for me we'll go right into this, so we'll go into the ratings here. For me, I would be sitting at a 4.5 out of 5 if I'm using the GG scale.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. 4.5 strikes out of 5.
Yeah. Is for me the reason I say 4.5. The only thing that stops it from being a perfect game, in my opinion, is just some of the narrative stuff. I think. For the most part, it does okay. There's some stuff with the princess that, I'm like, this could be better. And
the trash queen, whatever.
Yeah. She's, I would say if this series, if Team Ace was to find themselves like a real good narrative team, these games could be games of the century.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you keep everything else the same, but you put like a crazy thriller story that just has you on the edge of your seat the whole time.
You don't need a whole conflicting war and stuff like that. You just have some crazy missions and things that happen. Like it doesn't need to be country for country.
Even if you do have a war, right? Like there's war stories that are done well, right? Like that can be done that are really good. I think, honestly, not for nothing, like the first Gears of War game is a really good example of that. Like it gets way too far but like Reach is another example, right? Like Halo has had really good stories that center around wars and particular factions. Right? It can be done. Like I said, that's the only thing that stops it from being a perfect game for me is if some of the weird narrative stuff. But in general, I think the story is. If I was to, like a fine, good, great, perfect, I would put this right in the good like it's good. It gets there. There's a couple extra edit bits that don't need to be there, and there's a couple things that they kind of just push right past. But I would be sitting at a 4.5 out of 5 on my rating here.
Yeah, I agree.
Ace Combat 7.
Pretty much that narrative and the story is the only thing keeping it to be perfect. But other than that, it's that 0.5. It's not really that big a deal. It's pretty much damn near perfect game.
Mine's funny. I rated it that way, but not for the story stuff, because I thought the story stuff, like, it is what it is, right? I was fine with the story stuff. What I was disappointed about or knocked it for is the customization tree, but then the lack of customization you can do in game. So I'm getting all these titles and all these colors and getting skins and everything else.
Kind of disappointing that.
But like, if you're not playing the PvP, you never see it. So I think it gives that sort of stuff like a shelf life, right? Because eventually PvP is not going to be popular. People coming to this game years later like us aren't going to play PvP at all.
If you play a second run of the campaign, you can use those skins.
Yes.
Maybe, yeah,
but
maybe.
I saw it too, and I'm like, meh.
No, you can't. I mean, you can use them in the second run of the campaign. But yes, I agree.
But I say maybe because like you're not doing that, right? So they kind of, I think those things like that kind of have a shelf life. I wish they would have opened them up to you like earlier.
Same.
Just
There's
for
no reason
funsies,
why not.
right? Because Yeah, because that's the cool part of the game, right? It's like this plane sim, and you want it to be real, but also like it's yours. And so anyway, that's why I knocked it. But otherwise, like, yeah, I really enjoyed the game. It was good.
I think that might be our highest rated game on
I'm
Book
pretty
Club.
sure it's the highest rated one, yeah. Outside of maybe Diablo 2. I'll have to check back to see what
I think
rated
I
it was.
rated Diablo 2 higher, but I don't know that you guys did. But I think this is the consecutively, like, or not consecutively, but unanimously, I think between all
Did you
three
give
of us,
any
that's
of the
highest
Metro
rated.
games 4.5
No.
around there? I don't think we did either, yeah. Good games, but
Well,
just not that good.
It's fine because I'm sure this next game will quickly dethrone it, as I joked about. But in all seriousness, we are doing the 20th anniversary of.
Yeah. No, real quick before you go into it, last question. Did any of you guys have enough money to at least like mess around in free roam mode with the last unlocked plane that you got, the Wyvern or whatever?
I
it
got
was?
the last one. I got the last unlocked plane.
No, there's a
when you
special
beat the
unlocking
game.
it for beating it.
Yeah, it unlocks like the
Oh.
last one, which is like I guess the prototype, but the real plane.
No, I didn't mess with it.
Okay, I didn't have enough money. I was like just short, so.
I
Okay. Just was curious if any of you guys got
Dude,
messed around.
I
with
can't
Dude,
remember if I did that
for-
on the PS5 version or not. I can't remember. I don't know.
Dude, 14 is out, and that game is so good. And I go, sweet credits, uninstall, moving
it.
on.
Yeah, moving
So
on.
That's
Back to Dawntrail,
it's fine.
which is actually just minimized,
Yeah.
not actually closed.
No.
Not Wayne's Quays.
Oh, dude, it's been open all day. I logged on this morning, like even when I had to like do stuff.
Yeah,
I'm
real
not,
quick.
like,
I wanted to ask you that. I forgot to ask you that. How are there any issues with wait times getting into the servers on 14?
It depends. If you're like Alex and I, where you log in at
5
early
a.m.?
times,
Yeah.
it's nothing's changed.
Nothing.
You log in and you like wait for 5 minutes, then you're in. You're like boom,
But
bada bing, bada
6,
boom.
7 o'clock at night.
If you try to get on-
but if you're like Alex and you log out, and then you have to log because life, and then you have to log in at say
6, 7.
5-ish. 5-ish.
Well, 6, 7.
The
Well, I guess
queue.
not. No, never mind, sorry.
The queue set. You don't know how times are.
I know. I just said I was wrong. Leave me alone.
And so like I think it was like 5:30 or 5:45 my time on a Sunday, and I logged in, and the queue like stops you at like 3,200 I think or something like that, and my number was like 3,178, and I waited 2.5 hours for it to get down to like 600.
I found the queue goes higher than that. People have been posting queues up in the 6,000s now. Yeah.
Okay,
Damn.
well, I was like 3,200, whatever. I got down to 600, and then the client crashed and just said, screw you. So then I
Cool.
got to another data center, and it was fine. It was longer wait than it said, but yeah, dude, like,
Jesus.
wait times and peak hours
Peak
are no
hours.
joke.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No joke. Which is
People
why
don't play the game.
I will literally, like, log on in the morning and just leave it up while I do other stuff and just occasionally move now and again and just not get logged.
You and a lot of other people, yeah.
Anyway. Terrible. So, yeah, the next game we are going to play, this is in Steam Family Sharing as well if you want to, is going to be Mafia Definitive Edition.
Okay. I have played this game
Mafia Definitive.
I
when it
have
first came
not.
out.
I haven't either. So it's different than when it first came out. I don't know what's different. We'll talk about it. I'll know what's different before we get together next week. We'll talk about it. How long to beat has the original game at like 22 hours? Not counting side stuff. How long to
fine.
beat has the definitive edition at 10 hours? So I don't know what they do between the old game and the definitive edition, but it
The
literally
cars
cuts
go
how
faster?
long to beat.
Because those
It-
cars were slow.
So I think
We'll find
I
out.
think what they did, is they actually separated this game into a story mode that gives you the story chapters, and then a mode that also has like the side quests and everything else. But we will be playing, I think, the story mode
Yes.
that will just allow us to experience that and not worry about the
Correct.
other crap, right?
Interesting. Okay.
So it's much shorter. Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, I'll have some stuff on it, but we're going to do the first 5 chapters. There are 20 chapters, so
Okay.
really nice and easy. We'll do 4
Same.
chapters to play through. So we will go. I don't know if they have chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but essentially we will go through the chapter Fair Play and stop when we get to the chapter called Sarah. So
Okay.
we play chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and stop when we get to 6.
So stop when you
And
finish
that's what
fair
we will be
play,
doing.
right?
Stop when you finish Fair Play. Yep. And that is what we will be playing. Definitive edition of Mafia.
Only thing I remember of that game is the vehicle movement was
It's slow.
clunky, but also those are old, really old cars, so it's kind of fits. But you know, we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't remember a
We'll
lot
see.
of it. It was so long since I played that game.
So, I feel so. Here's the thing. I feel like I played it because I remember slow cars, but I could also just be getting it confused with LA Noire, which is out at the same time and also had slow cars.
Yeah. I definitely played.
I think I played LA Noire, not Mafia.
This will be very funny if you two played this game and I'm the only one who didn't play it. But yeah,
that's okay. But to be fair, the last time I played it was got to be well over 10 years ago. Like when did that come out? Do you remember? Original Mafia?
No, I can tell you.
Yeah. It's got to be, if I guess, 15 to 17 years.
Mafia 1 game release date was 2002. 22 years ago.
Fuck. Okay.
Yeah, August
over
of
2 decades
2002
right.
for Xbox and PlayStation 2. Oh, I'm sorry. No. It was for Windows. It was later ported to the PS2 and Xbox in 2004. So
still 20 years.
It is 20 years old or 22 years old, depending. So there you go.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Ready for it.
All right. So.
All
Cool.
right.
Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody. Ace Combat, definitely. Ace Combat 7, Skies Unknown, definitely a play if you haven't played it. It's a nice, easy play, and it's not too long. So, yeah, go give it a try. With that, we will catch you next week. Preston, as always, you know what to do.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to another episode of The Testing Room. To catch up on past episodes or check out the newest ones when they drop, follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. If watching is more your thing, check out youtube.com/thetestingroom or Twitch TV/testingroompod. To leave comments and ask questions, follow us on Instagram @testingroompod and email us at testingroompod@gmail.com. See you next time.